Hey guys, we're still in chapter 3 of Superfudge. I'm going to continue reading. That night, we were all sitting around the living room, watching TV. I was holding Tootsie on my lap. She let out a soft little sigh. She's a lot like Turtle when he's asleep. I can tell what kind of dream he's having by the noises he makes. And sometimes when he's having a nightmare, he cries out and shakes. Then I pet him until he's calm again. It's the same with Tootsie. She'll be fast asleep, but she'll make these little noises or cry out and wiggle around. Other times, she'll work her mouth just like she's sucking on her bottle. I guess she's dreaming about eating a lot. But the little sighs are my favorite because I know she's content. And she feels so warm and soft lying in my arms that way, and that I feel good all over. As soon as the show was over, Dad snapped off the TV, turned to us, and said, "We have some really good news for you boys." "Oh no, not again," I said, looking down at Tootsie. Mom and Dad laughed. "Something different this time," Dad said. "Something different this time," Dad said. "Is it interesting?" Fudge asked, racing the little race cars across the floor. Vroom, vroom, vroom. "Yes, very interesting," Mom said. "Well, don't keep us in suspense," I said. "Let's hear it." "Is suspense like privilege?" Fudge asked. "No," I told him. "Now shut up and listen." I looked at my father. "Well?" I asked. Because their idea of something interesting and my idea of something interesting aren't necessarily the same. "We're moving to Princeton," Dad said. "We're what?" I wanted to jump up, but I couldn't, not with Tootsie on my lap. "Is Princeton near the park?" Fudge asked, running his little red car up and down Mom's leg. "No, stupid," I said. "It's in New Jersey." "Is New Jersey near the park?" he asked. "Not Central Park," Mom said. "But you won't need Central Park," Dad said, "because you'll have your own backyard." "What's a backyard?" Fudge asked. "It's like a small park," Mom told him. "My own park?" Fudge asked. "More or less," Dad said, to shut him up. "What about art history?" I said to Mom. "What about it?" she answered. "I thought you were going back to school to study art history." "Princeton University has an art history department. I may take classes there." "It's just for a year," Dad said, looking at me, "to see how we like being away from the city." "Away, away, away," Fudge sang. You can't have a conversation in front of him. It's useless. Couldn't my mother and father see that? "We're going next week," Dad said. "What about Maine?" I asked. "We always go to Maine for 2 weeks in the summer." "M-A-I-N-E spells Maine," Fudge sang. "M-A-I-N-E. How does he know how to spell Maine?" Mom asked Dad. "I have no idea," Dad said. "So what about it?" I pressed. "Are we going to Maine?" "We're going to Princeton instead," Dad told me. Instead, Fudge babbled. "Shut up," I yelled at him. And then I said just as loud, "I hate Princeton." "You've never been there," your mom said. "Oh, yes, I have. We went to visit some dumb friends of yours, and they served us this disgusting dinner. Shrimp and mushrooms and spinach all mixed together. And I was hungry, but they wouldn't even give me anything else to eat, not even an extra piece of bread. I remember." "Oh, that's right," Mom said. "I've forgotten all about the day at Millie and George's house." "You forget everything that's important." "Look, Peter," Dad said, "we were hoping you'd be pleased about Princeton. We've already rented a house there. In fact, we've rented George and Millie's house. They're going to York for the year." "That old dump?" "It's not a dump. It's a beautiful old place, and we've arranged to sublet our apartment. So I'd like you to keep an open mind about this." "Open, open, open," Fudge sang. "You should have told me before, just like you should have told me about Tootsie as soon as you knew. You never tell me anything. And here," I said, shoving Tootsie at Dad, "why don't you hold your own stupid baby yourself?" "Because I have things to do." I got up and marched across the living room, kicking a couple of Fudge's cars as I went by. By the time I got to my room, he was crying. Good, I thought. And then Tootsie started. Better yet. And then Turtle began to bark. Let them suffer. I slammed my bedroom door, and my map wound up on my bed again. I guess I fell asleep in my clothes because the next thing I knew, Mom was shaking me insane. "Come on, Peter, get up. Get dressed." And under the covers. "It's late." "Too hot for covers," I mumbled. "Okay, but if you want to sleep in your clothes tonight, you can. But at least take off your sneakers." Like them where they are," I said, sleepily. "Okay, if you want to sleep in your sneakers, just for tonight. Maybe every night." Mom ignored that. "Peter, about Princeton," she began. I held up my head. "Don't want to talk about it." You don't have to talk, just listen. Too tired to listen. All right, we'll talk tomorrow. Anyway, nothing I can do about it. Just like Tootsie, nothing I could do about her either. But you didn't mind. But you don't mind her now, do you? Getting used to her. And you'll get used to Princeton too. You'll see. Then she started telling me about where I'd go to school. But I was still half asleep and not really listening until she said something like, having your little brother in the same school. And I sat up, suddenly wide awake. What did you say? About what? Just now about Fudge in school. Oh, we've had him tested. And even though he's a little bit young, we're going to enroll him in kindergarten. After all, he's had a full year of nursery school. And he can count by tens and recite the alphabet. And he knows his months and days of the week, colors, and he can even spell Maine. Yeah, I said. We all know about this kid genius. But you said something else about him going to the same school as me. That's right. You'll be in 6th grade and he'll be in kindergarten. Won't that be fun? Fun? That did it. I jumped off the bed and grabbed my Adidas bag. You think it's fun going to a new school? I don't even know anybody there. And I definitely don't want to go to school with a little monster. You don't understand anything, do you? I opened my dresser drawer and dumped my clothes into a bag. This time I'm really leaving. Peter, honey, Mom said, you can't run away every time you hear something you think you don't like. I don't think it, I know it. Even so, running away doesn't solve anything. Maybe not for you, but it does for me. I tossed in my baseball glove, my favorite jeans, half of my Mad magazines, and a few of my smaller maps, and a couple of tapes. Shall I make you a peanut butter sandwich to take along? Mom asked, smiling. Don't give me any of that little boy stuff, I told her, because I mean it, I'm leaving. She stopped smiling. I can understand how you feel, but Daddy and you don't think the same as me, and I'm beginning to see that. And if you cared at all about me, even just a little bit, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have. Peter, we care about you a lot. That's one of the reasons for moving to Princeton. And we didn't even get to tell you the really good news. Oh, there's more, I said. Well, I can't wait to hear it. Daddy's taking the year off. I stopped packing. He quit his job at the agency? No. He's been fired. Has he been fired? No. Then what? He's taken a leave of absence. Wait, he wants to tell you himself. She went to the door and called, Warren, can you come in here? I'm changing Tootsie, Dad called back. Be there in just a minute. I thought Dad never changed a diaper in his life. He didn't, not until Tootsie came along. What's so special about changing her diapers? I asked. Nothing. It's just that Daddy realizes he missed out on some of your baby experiences, and he doesn't want to make the same mistake again. He's so busy changing Tootsie, he hasn't got time for anybody else. Peter, that's not fair, Mom said. What do you know about fair? Dad came into my room, smelling like baby lotion. I told Peter you have a surprise for him, Mom said. I'm taking the year off, Dad said. And that way I'll have more time to spend with the family, because I'll be working at home. I'm going to write a book. A book, I said. That's right. On the history of advertising and its effect on the American people. Couldn't you write something more interesting, I asked? Like a book about a kid who runs away because his parents decide to move without asking him? Sounds like a good story, Dad said. Maybe you should write it yourself. Maybe I will, I said. And I'd like to know how we're going to eat, with you not working. We've got some money saved, and I'll probably get an advance for writing my book. Give it a chance, Peter, Mom said. I'll think about it, I told her. But if I'm gone in the morning, don't be surprised. And then from the other room, we could hear Fudge singing himself to sleep. M-A-I-N-E spells Maine. F-U-D-G-E spells Fudge. P-E-T-E-R spells Pita. B-E-E-R spells whiskey. We listened to that, I said. The kid should be a big hit in kindergarten. Okay, chapter 4 is called Off the Wall. I told Jimmy Fargo about Princeton. You're moving, he asked, like he couldn't believe it. Not exactly, I answered, just for a year. You're moving, he said. I can't believe it. Neither can I. You don't have to move, he said. You could stay here if you really wanted to. You think I don't want to stay? I don't know anybody in Princeton. You think I want to go to some school where I don't have any friends? Then tell your mom and dad you refuse to go. That's what I'd do. But where would I live? With me. But where would I sleep? On the floor, Jimmy said. It's good for your back to sleep on the floor. I thought about sleeping on the floor for a year, and about living with Jimmy and his father. Mr. Fargo used to be an actor, but now he's a painter. He paints these weird-looking pictures of circles and triangles and squares. He's so absent-minded that he only buys food when Jimmy reminds him. One time I looked in the refrigerator, and all they had was an empty bottle of wine, half an apple, and a salami and onion sandwich, so old it had turned green. "If you don't stay, I'm never going to talk to you again," Jimmy said. "I mean never." He bent down and tied his shoelace. Jimmy's shoelaces were always undone. "I'm going to tell Sheila Tubman she can have your rock in the park," he added. "You wouldn't." "Try me. Some friend you turned out to be." "Same for you." Jimmy turned and walked away, his hands stuffed deep in his pockets. I thought of plenty more to say as soon as he was gone, but instead of running down the street after him, I went home. "Is that you, Peter?" Mom called. "No." I went to my room and slammed my bedroom door. I was glad that I hadn't bothered to hang up a map of the world again. I took out my McGann's crystal. Jimmy gave it to me on my last birthday. When I can't fall asleep at night, I hold the chain above the lucite base and watch the small ball swing from side to side. I concentrate it until my eyes get heavy and I get the feeling that I want to close them. I open my window enough to throw out my McGann's crystal. I imagine it smashing into a zillion pieces on the sidewalk below. But suppose I had trouble falling asleep in Princeton. What would I do? I put it back in its box. There had to be a better way to get even with Jimmy Fargo. 2 hours later, I was still thinking about ways to get back at him when the doorbell rang, and it was Jimmy. "Changed my mind," he said, "and I'm very sorry." "Yeah, well, me too." "I was disappointed, that was all. I don't want you to move, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's not your fault." "That's what I was trying to tell you," I said. "I know. Well, my father says Princeton is just an hour by train." "That's right. So I won't give Sheila your rock after all." "Thanks. She wouldn't know what to do with it anyway," I said. "But I'm not going to use it until you come back." "Okay, I won't use my McGann's crystal until I get back either." "Deal," Jimmy said, and we shook on it. The next morning, when I was going down in the elevator with Turtle, Henry said, "I'm going to miss you and your family." "Bet you won't miss Fudge," I said. "Oh, yes, even that little devil," Henry said. "I remember the day he got into my elevator and pushed all the buttons at once. Jammed up the work for 2 hours. Henry laughed. He sounded like a sea lion. I always expect him to slap his arms together when he laughs. "And I'll miss that baby of yours, too. Won't get to see her grow up now." "Sure you will," I told him. "We're only going for a year." "That's what they all say," Henry muttered. Outside, it was gray and humid. I wondered if the sun was going to shine in Princeton, and I walked Turtle down the street. He sniffed here and there, trying to find a place he liked. I encouraged him to use the curb. In Princeton, he'll be able to go wherever he likes, I thought. Maybe I won't even have to walk him. I'll just open the door and I'll run into the yard. And I won't have to clean up after him either. Ever since New York City passed what I call the doggy-do law, walking Turtle hasn't been that much fun. At first, when I heard that every dog owner had to clean up after its own dog, I told Mom that I wouldn't be able to walk Turtle anymore. Mom said, "That's too bad, Peter, because if you don't walk him, who will?" I was hoping Mom would volunteer. I was hoping she'd say, "I know how grossed out you feel at the idea of picking up Turtle's dog do." But she didn't. Instead, she said, "Look, Peter, if you're going to have to make a tough decision. If you want to keep Turtle, you're going to have to clean up after him. Otherwise, Daddy and I will try to find a nice farm somewhere in the country." And I didn't wait for her to finish. "Send Turtle to a farm?" I shouted. "Are you kidding? He's a city dog. He's my dog." "Well then," Mom said, smiling, "I got the point." Mom bought me a contraption called a pooper scooper. It's a kind of shovel attached to a baggie, and when Turtle does this thing, I scoop it up and get it into the baggie, tie it up, and toss it into the trash bag. At first, I made a mess of myself trying to get it to work, but now I'm a regular expert. Still, it's pretty disgusting. Almost as disgusting as Tootsie's diapers. I wish I could train Turtle to use the toilet, especially in the winter. When I stand around freezing while he takes his time and trying to make up his mind. I know it's not Turtle's fault. He can't help being a dog. And when he sleeps at the foot of my bed or licks my face, it's all worth it. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop there and continue tomorrow. See you later.